Alright guys, Raw Rustler here, and this is going to be my NXT Takeover Brooklyn review. And let me just start by saying this was an absolutely incredible show. I was watching it last night when it started, weirdly here, 2 in the morning, which is weird for a pay-per-view to start. And it was supposed to run 2 hours, and it ended about 20 past 4, so it actually went over. Well, actually it was more like half past. And I was watching it with 2 friends at the same time, and oh my god, we were basically after every match. We were talking after every match. We were definitely watching matches, but we were talking after every match. And oh my god, we were just like, this is good, and this is great. And after one match, it was just like, that is what wrestling is. This pay-per-view is probably the best NXT pay-per-view this year, because I think it's better than Rival and Unstoppable. Probably like the best pay-per-view since our Evolution. But this, it was just so incredible. I might actually prefer this to WrestleMania, and I genuinely loved watching it. And as a fan, there were some incredible mark-out moments. Some of my favourites got over, and there was one truly emotional moment and one absolutely incredible moment that eclipsed and was a pinnacle of a revolution, and we'll get to that when we come to it. But let's start. Triple H starts out when we're in the Barclays Center, and I love the fact that NXT is not in Full Sail University anymore, because, well, no, it is normally, but I would want all NXT pay-per-views now to be outside of it, because Full Sail's a little bit small, and you can only get about 3,000 people in there. Whereas in a place like the Barclays Center, you can get 15,000. So that is 15,000 people enjoying it live, and you know, that's much better than just 3,000. Triple H, of course, starts out in the ring and says, you know, NXT's taking over, blah 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 blah. It's the normal stuff, but it feels so real, and the fact that Triple H is doing this, and we know that Triple H is doing this. He's making NXT this just insanely incredible thing. And, just awesome. Awesome start. Good job, Triple H. It wasn't particularly long, but it didn't need to be. So that's fine. The first match of the night was Jushin Thunder Liger taking on Tyler Breeze. In my predictions, I predicted Tyler Breeze because I felt that Jushin Thunder Liger probably wouldn't get many matches in WWE, if any more. I mean, I think this might actually be his only one. And I think Tyler Breeze would really benefit from the victory, and he could then be the opponent of the champion next. I mean, that's who I'd go with, I think. But in the end, Jushin Thunder Liger picks up the victory about 9 minutes. It was a solid match. I think that they put on a match that I enjoyed. I was very enthralled. There was some close falls, etc. Tyler Breeze hit a really early supermodel kick, and that stuck with me throughout the match for some reason. I was just like, I don't think he's going to win because he hit that. Jushin Thunder Liger, you know, he's got to be pushing it, and I feel like that's why we're not pushing it as in like getting like incredibly old. I just think he's got to be getting to near the end of his career, and because to be honest, he was on the first WCW Nitro 20 years ago, so he's got to be getting to the end of his professional wrestling career, which is a sad thing, but at least he wrestled once in the WWE. So of course Liger picks up the victory with the Liger Bomb, but this was just a really good match. I think that Breeze put in a great performance, as Tyler Breeze always does, and Tyler Breeze is just such a good heel gimmick. It's just so easy to hate Tyler Breeze. And in the match, you know, there wasn't as much high flying as I thought. I mean, Liger's really quite acrobatic guy, and so is Tyler Breeze. So that was a bit weird. It was a lot more of a ground-based match, which I didn't mind. It just felt a little bit out of place, considering the guys are, you know, they're a bit, you know, they don't weigh as much, and they can move around a lot more. But I was fine with it. I gave it 3 stars. It was a good match and a very good way to kick off the show. And the show just kept building from there, and it just... Second match on the card. NXT Tag Team titles. The Vaudevillains take on Blake and Murphy, who come out, of course, with the lovely Alexa Bliss. And of course, as they're in the ring, weird thing I noticed, the Vaudevillains were wearing blue attires. So Aiden English was wearing blue pants, and Simon Gotch was wearing a blue singlet. And at that point, it sort of struck me that probably blue pants is going to come out. And Alexa Bliss, of course, goes, so you haven't got anyone out you haven't got anyone's help to, to suppress me, etc. And Aiden English and Simon Gotch point to the stage, and Blue Pants comes out, who actually isn't under a WWE contract still, which should probably sign her. She's pretty over. So, I mean, she's probably like one of the most over people, like, on NXT, and that's weird. This was a really solid tag match. I think Blake and Murphy did well to really suppress Aiden English, and then Simon Gotch, of course, gets the hot tag eventually, which people popped for. I love the Vaudevillains and Blake and Murphy. These are teams I really want to see in the main roster, and I think the Vaudevillains are one of my favourite tag teams. In a long time. I mean, they've just got this awesome gimmick that just sort of harkens back to, the gimmicks of the 1980s and the 1990s, just stuff like that. And that's what I like about the Vaudevillains. Blake and Murphy, of course, they're fine. They're a pretty good heel tag team. And again, the match was just really solid. Alexa Bliss, of course, eventually tries to get involved after Aiden English hits a Swanton Bomb on, I think it was Blake. I was going to burp then. No, okay. Aiden English hits a Swanton Bomb on Blake, Wesley Blake. He kicks out. Alexa Bliss gets in the ring, goes to smack one of the Vaudevillains. Blue Pants gets in, slaps her, takes her down, rolls her out the ring. Then the Vaudevillains hit Blake, I think it's Wesley Blake, with the Whirling Dervish and pick up the victory. And I marked out because I love the Vaudevillains so much. I think that this was probably one of the best tag matches I've seen on an NXT pay-per-view, because there haven't been too many great NXT title matches on pay-per-view. I mean, the Vaudevillains didn't have a very good one at, what was it, Our Evolution? Yeah, it was. Yeah, and, Blake and Murphy didn't have a very good one with the Lucha Dragons at Rival. But this one was absolutely really solid. I gave it 3.25 stars. I think that the guys put on a really good show, and in the end, the Vaudevillains picking up the victory was a great moment, I think. And I hope that now that probably means Blake and Murphy might be moving up to the main roster and giving that poor tag division, because the tag division in NXT is better than the tag division on the main roster. And that's like, I'm a big NXT fan, and people are going to be like, oh, well, you're saying actually like NXT. No, it just is. They've got, the Vaudevillains, Blake and Murphy, who are like the main event teams, but then you've got teams in the wing, like the Hype Bros, who I don't particularly like, but oh well, Enzo and Cass, Team Soft, Chad Gable and Jason Jordan, who I really like, and Dash Wilder and Scott Dawson. So that's like 6 teams in there, and if Blake and Murphy come up, then you've got 5, but you've got some real contenders for the tag gold, whereas the main roster is just boring, mainly because, Tyson Kidd's injured, and I think one of the Usos is injured, and Oak Rowan got injured, so the Harper-Rowan connection sort of got stopped quickly. But I really do think that tag division needs some energy from these tag teams. I'm going to absolutely love it when the Vaudevillains come up. So yeah, a really good match, 3.25 stars. I really enjoyed it. I think it was better than the opener, to be honest. And the opener was a good match. I just think this match was better. We move on to the debut of Apollo Crews, as he takes on Ty Dillinger, and of course, Apollo Crews reminds me of like a contraction of Shelton Benjamin and Bobby Lashley. That's what I get when I think I see him. This matchup was, it was what you expected. I think Ty Dillinger got in more offense than I thought he would, which is probably a good thing. It makes Apollo Crews look pretty good. Apollo Crews is incredibly athletic. I've got to give him a lot of credit, because he looks really good in this matchup. But of course, it's just one of those matches where it's a little bit it's obvious that Apollo Crews is in the end going to win, and he wins about 5 minutes, I think, with a standing shooting star press, basically. My issue with that is that it's a pretty weak finisher. I mean, one of Adrian Neville's normal move is a standing corkscrew moonsault, so that's one of his normal moves. I felt like Apollo Crews should have probably had like a shooting star press off the top rope or something, because I still think that's a pretty weak finisher. But they're probably going to keep it with him. I mean, I don't mind. I think it was a decent squash match though. It was a decent debut. I gave it 2 stars. I mean, I think that it accomplished. It's not going to be great. It's not going to be like a 4-star classic, but it accomplished what it's supposed to do. And for that, I gave it 2 stars. I think it's fine. We move on to the match I was least excited for going into NXT. Baron Corbin taking on Samoa Joe. And the reason I'm least excited is because Baron Corbin hasn't had a good pay-per-view match on NXT. He had the awful one with Bull Dempsey, the pretty bad one with Rhino, and now this one, and I can pretty safely say this is Baron Corbin's best WWE match. him and Joe just had a really physical encounter. I enjoyed it. I think that they put on a really good show. I was thoroughly entertained. I know the crowd were entertained. The finish. Oh, by the way, my predictions. So Breeze lost, so that makes me 0-1. Sorry, and then the Vaudevillains won, so that's 1-1, and then Apollo Crews won, so that's 2-1. And then this match, in the end, Baron Corbin never got to hit the end of days because Samoa Joe chokes him out after a choke bomb. Well, no, Baron Corbin hits a choke bomb on Samoa Joe, goes for the pin. Samoa Joe kicks out and actually counters it into a Coquina clutch. Baron Corbin passes out, even though after the match he seemed like he didn't. He was complaining a bit. But Samoa Joe wins. That puts my predictions at 2 apiece. I think that Baron Corbin should have won to keep him as this dominant heel, but I think he should have won using dirty tactics so it doesn't do any, it doesn't make Joe look bad. But I'm cool with Joe winning. I just think Baron Corbin probably should have won a little bit more. I gave the match 2 3/4 stars. It was very good. I mean, it was really good from Baron Corbin. This is what I've been wanting to see from this guy. Really entertaining matchup. I think him and Joe deserve a lot of praise, and Joe especially deserves a lot of praise, I think, because they put on a really decent show. We move on to the match that everyone was most excited for. All my friends, well, all the ones that watch wrestling, were all excited for this. This was the match that when I started Brooklyn, I was like, I can't wait for this match. NXT Women's Title, and wait a minute. They announced on NXT that a Dusty Rhodes Memorial Tag Team Tournament is going to take place, which is great. I really like that. And before the NXT, the women came out, obviously, we had Stephanie come out and introduce the match, and the promo for this match, the promo package was really good. It was probably the best promo for any package on the card. And it was awesome. I mean, the whole story of Bayley losing matches and never winning the big one, it's a very obvious story, and it's been done so many times that it might seem tedious, but it really didn't in this match. And especially that promo package was really good. Just the wacky waving inflatable armed tube men falling and stuff, and Bayley losing and then Bayley beating Emma and Charlotte and Becky Lynch was just great. And this matchup though, let's talk about it, because this match was absolutely incredible. Oh my god. This was incredible. I know I've just said that, but literally, I was watching this match and I was glued to the screen. I was on the edge of my seat. A big thing about this show was I was on the edge of my seat for basically every match except Apollo Crews. I was on the edge of my seat, counter after counter, and just move after move. And these girls were just pulling out stuff that you wouldn't normally see. Sasha Banks, oh my god, her psychology on the arm, and when she puts Bayley's arm behind the steel steps and then kicks the steps, that was awesome. That's what a heel does, and that's why I loved Sasha Banks in this matchup. Because NXT Unstoppable in her match against Becky Lynch, great match, she had the fans actually cheered Sasha Banks. When she comes out in this match, she gets booed and Bayley gets the cheers, and that is what I absolutely love about the women in NXT. They can make you love them or hate them like that, and that is why I think the emotion was in this match. The story was told so well, even though it is sort of a pretty normal story, just the person who wants to achieve their dream against, the heel who's just, I'm better than you. That's such an obvious story, but these girls presented it in such a way that it didn't get boring. The moves were incredible. The selling was off the chain. Some of the moves, they hurt themselves, but I think that's more just because how well they sold it. Bayley hit a first Bayley to belly on Sasha Banks. She kicked out. Sasha Banks eventually got a bank statement on Bayley, and I was glued to the screen during that. I genuinely thought Bayley was going to tap out. I thought it was really obvious that Bayley was going to win the belt, but during this matchup, I totally forgot that, and I definitely, at sort of points, I thought Sasha Banks was going to win. I was like, she's going to tap out to the bank statement, and Bayley's reaching the ropes and trying to get there, and Sasha Banks literally starts kicking Bayley's hand, the injured one that she kicked the ring steps into. Awesome. Bayley counters that bank statement into a bank statement of her own and locks that in on Sasha Banks. Sasha Banks gets to the rope. Sasha Banks hits the double knees to the stomach off the top rope instead of the middle rope. Just pure brilliance. These girls just absolutely went at it. And the finish came. when the ring psychology from Sasha Banks was awesome. She was so good. She told the story so well. Just the looking at Bayley in the corner, I'm better than you. You can't beat me. Stuff like that. Which again, it's so obvious, but they just did it so well. And the ending came when Sasha Banks and Bayley were on the top rope, and Sasha Banks hits a reverse Hurricane Rana off the top rope. Sasha Banks falls on her head. Oh wait, actually, before this, Bayley went for a Hurricane Rana, a normal Hurricane Rana, to Sasha Banks off the top. Sasha Banks reverses it and holds on to the ropes. Bayley falls on her head from the top rope, and that looked absolutely sick. At that point, I thought Sasha Banks was going to win. But as I said a minute ago, the finish came when Bayley hits a reverse Hurricane Rana off the top rope. So when Adrian Neville does that reverse Hurricane Rana, Bayley did this off the top rope. Absolutely incredible. Then she hits a second Bayley to belly. 1, 2, 3. I marked out because Bayley won the NXT Women's title in just an absolute... It was incredible. And I'm going to get to the rating in a minute. But everything was there in this match. Everything. The story was just so good. The selling from the two women was incredible. The wrestling was there. And just the emotion from the crowd. The atmosphere. This was definitely the match that the crowd were most into. But it always is. Every pay-per-view, these women get better and better and better. And I basically say to myself, that's the best women's match I've ever seen. That's the best women's match I've ever seen. And at this pay-per-view, this match isn't just the best women's match I've ever seen. This shouldn't even be like, oh, this is a women's match. It isn't a women's match. This is a wrestling match. This is the best wrestling match that the WWE have put on this year. It was absolutely off the charts how good these two women were. And the ending segment with Bayley with the belt and Charlotte and Becky Lynch come out to congratulate her and they give the hug and everything. That was emotional. I had a lump in my throat. It was absolutely off the chain. And then Sasha Banks gets to the ring and gives her a hug. They are the four horsewomen. If you only watch Raw and SmackDown, the Divas Revolution, it didn't start on Raw. It started with these four women in NXT, and, they are the four horsewomen. They deserve every bit of praise they get because they prove at night in and night out that they are the best thing I think NXT's got. And that isn't a criticism to Owens and Balor. That is saying that these women are just absolutely incredible. And I know I've said incredible that much, but that's because these women were that good. They generally were, and I'm not exaggerating. This is the best women's match in WWE history. It's the best match this year by a mile. And in rating it, I rated the whole thing. The end segment with the four horsewomen in the ring as well, I gave this match 5 stars out of 5. That is a first for my channel. I've never given a match 5 stars on my channel, and that is because it's hard. I'm very stingy with my 5 stars. I give them to few matches, and this match deserves it. It's the best women's match in wrestling history, I think. And I think that not even just the girls on the main roster need to watch this match and be like, that's awesome. The guys on the main roster need to watch this match and be like, you know what? That's incredible. And they were incredible. They were absolutely incredible. I don't know if I've said that again and again, but Bayley and Sasha Banks and Charlotte and Becky Lynch, we can't count them out because these 4 women started this revolution in NXT, and I think that this is the pinnacle of it. And I think that you were going to see those 3 women go on in the main roster. You're going to see Bayley with the belt for a while, I presume, on NXT, and that was just incredible. I had a lump in my throat. I was so emotional because Bayley's been my favourite diva since I started. Well, she's been my favourite NXT diva since I started watching NXT, and she's incredible. She has so much emotion, and she's just awesome. I love her. And so yeah, 5 stars. It truly was absolutely incredible. So basically what I'm saying is stop watching this video. Stop watching my video and go and watch it. Pirate it, stream it, do whatever. Just watch it. Because it was that good. 5 stars, best match this year. And I don't think anything will beat it. The main event, alright, so basically I can imagine the faces on Finn Balor and Kevin Owens after watching that. They'd be like, how do we follow that? And Finn Balor and Kevin Owens are talented guys. They're really good, obviously. And in this... Sorry, I just got to check something. Yeah, we're fine. And in this match, they did very well. This is probably one of the best ladder matches of the decade. And I'm not, again, these guys just tore the house down. Even after that match, and the crowd was still so into it. I think it was smart of them not to bring the ladder in the first 20 seconds and actually give it some time to develop just with the technical work that they did. And then when the ladder was brought in, it was used in some cool ways. Finn Balor actually drop-kicked the ladder into Kevin Owens as he jumped off the announce table. That was awesome. Kevin Owens laid Finn Balor on the ladder and gave him a senton. Finn Balor, in the end, though, hits 2 coup de grace on Kevin Owens, one from the top rope, one from the ladder. Kevin Owens takes a few bumps to the ladder, especially one where he just falls back first on the ladder. A great match. I genuinely think this was a fantastic ladder match, and it was booked so well. In the end, Finn Balor retains the NXT Championship at about half an hour. These guys got a lot of time to work, and again, I think that's one of the best things about this card, the fact that they've got time to work. And so yeah, in the end, I gave it. I'm actually going to put my grade up from what I've put here. I'm going to give it 4.25 stars. It was a great match. I think it's top tier matches this year, and it was just a great match. But they had a lot to live up to with the Divas, and one day I hope that those Divas actually do main event a pay-per-view. I really do, and I think this could have been the one that main evented, but I'm fine because they absolutely stole the show and gave us a 5-star classic. So 4.25 stars for Owens Balor. Check out that match as well because it was great. And that isn't like consolation. Like, you should watch this and then that. You should watch both. Watch the show. It was great. So in the end, my final score for NXT Takeover Brooklyn is a 9 out of 10. This show was off the charts. It had match after match that was just enjoyable and quality and fun. And the women were outstanding. They were absolutely incredible. The scene at the end with the 4 horsemen, with the 4 horsewomen of wrestling, was beautiful. Not just because of the fact that there's 4, attractive women there. The fact that those 4 women have done that and they worked for that, and those women are what wrestling is. And that is in years from now, you're going to say, this is why I'm a wrestling fan, and you're going to show someone that match. If someone ever goes to me like, why are you a wrestling fan? I'd show them that match and be like, that's why I'm a wrestling fan. Greg the Hammer Valentine actually recently said something like, women shouldn't be wrestlers, they're just taking the jobs from the men who have the more potential. They should basically be in the kitchen. That misogynistic attitude is why he's going to get a ton of backlash now. Firstly, those women put on a better match, Greg, than you probably ever could. So, please don't. I mean, Greg Hammer Valentine's great, but that match between them was probably better than anything Greg the Hammer Valentine has ever put on. And secondly, just stop. Stop with your misogynist attitude because it's wrong. Those women were absolutely downright incredible. I know I've gone on about it, but I can't stop thinking about how good they were. I'm going to watch it again in like 5 minutes. So, my overall rating for NXT Takeover Brooklyn is a 9 out of 10. Basically because solid opener between Tyler Breeze and Liger at 3 stars. A very good tag match between Vaudevillains and Blake and Murphy at 3.25 stars. A good debut from Apollo Crews. Baron Corbin and Joe put on probably Baron Corbin's best match. The Divas I don't need to say anymore. And a great ladder match from those guys, from Owens and Balor. So, 9 out of 10. SummerSlam has a hard card to follow, and I'm looking forward to it. I hope it does. I mean, I want wrestling to be as good as possible, so I hope it is as good. So thanks for watching. This has been my NXT TakeOver Brooklyn review. I hope you enjoyed it. I mean, I absolutely enjoyed it. I think it was absolutely one of the best pay-per-views I've ever watched live. So, thanks for watching, guys. Like, comment, and subscribe for more.